How's it going, everybody? It's me, Shane. I'm here to give you another Mushoku Tensei episode of review. Today's episode of The Jobless Reincarnation is Season 2, Episode 11, To You. Before going any further, I would like to ask you to please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified of more videos like this one. I am behind on quite a bit of things, but it's okay. I've done things out of order, and you're going to get them all probably back to back to back to back, and I hope you enjoy them all. So this review will not be long for this one because, super spoiler, this was fantastic, just amazing. You remember if I can remember last episode, I feel like last episode was Rudy finding out that Fitz was a she, which we all knew, obviously, and figuring out that the Fitz he saw in the market wasn't the actual Fitz that he knew. And this is kind of the fallout for that. And I remember episode before last, me going, I think I enjoyed the episode as a little bit of a daily life thing. But I remember going, man, if you all keep pulling and pulling on this and don't, actually hit the trigger, I'm going to be kind of annoyed. And they hit the mark in the most fantastic and astounding way here. So just like the description says, basically the princess has to lay things out, and it's laid out after Luke has seen Rudy. And what happened in this meeting, we have Rudy who's talking, we hear him in his head telling us, well, ever since, his little buddy downstairs stood up, that's all he's been thinking about, how he doesn't even know how to get it better. And Fitz has been on his mind nonstop. And he's just trying to figure out how he's going to get his cure. And so Luke appears, and Luke says, we need to talk about Fitz. And Rudy already knows, I know exactly what he's trying to, he's trying to secure themselves. And he says, I have no clue what you want to talk about with Fitz. And he's like, really? You don't know anything at all? He's like, I know nothing about Fitz or who he is or anything of that nature. And Luke is wondering, how come you're not, how come you're supporting us? And essentially Rudy tells him, I'm not trying to oppose you because, one, I don't want to fight you. And on top of that, what was it? On top of that, he genuinely likes Fitz, right? So they have nothing to worry about on his end. He says that, and he runs off, and he's like, I don't want to make trouble for Fitz. I'm just gonna leave Fitz alone. You can kind of see it's like a sad run, as a kind of like crying. He looked like he wanted to cry. Rudy is a good example, in my opinion, of toxic masculinity, because he does have a lot of moments where he's like, I'm not gonna cry because I'm a man. It's like, you have a lot of trauma. If you did cry, you probably would feel better, right? And he even says it's gonna hurt him in the end, though, because he doesn't want to be apart from Fitz. And in the end, the Princess Ariel, that's funny, Princess Ariel and Luke, well, Princess has a talk with Sylphiette, saying, Sylphiette, Rudy saw Fitz down at the market, was very cross about, how Fitz was, and a little birdie told her that Rudeus had tackled Fitz and said, if Fitz had run away saying, I'm a boy. And you would think you would get more of a stern, especially reading the description, you would think you get a more stern princess here. No, she goes, look, you're not my servant, you're my friend. So I'm going to ask you again, what is it that you want? Because and Sylphie doesn't want to betray her, because she's like, well, you're my friend. And Princess is like, yeah, you've helped me regardless, and you're a great person. You're putting my needs before yours, but what do you want? Because if there's something that you want, you're free to go and do it. And she wants to be with Rudy. And so there's a plan. Very, very, it's a interesting plan. And the plan is to try to get Rudy to remember. Now, here's the crazy part. I'm with the princess. The princess straight up says, just go up and tell him who you are. And Luke's like, I don't know. And well, Sylphie's whole deal is, but if he doesn't remember me, I'll never recover. And Luke's like, yeah, if he hasn't paid attention to her at this point, he probably just forgotten her. And I'm thinking to myself, how could he forget? And I have to remember, Rudy right now is 16, which means Sylphie's 16. And later on, we found out that the instants and moments they had went through, they were like 4 or 5 or 6. It's been about 10 years. My thing is, his whole reason for going to school was Sylphie. His whole reason for actually being with Eris to help her study was for Sylphiette. Now, my thing is, he mentions over and over there's someone he was been looking for. She is that person. It's not just his mom, X, Y, and Z. It's actually her. He never forgot Roxy, so I don't know why he would forget Sylphiette. And Sylphiette does remember. She remembers first time Rudy had saved her from bullies because of her green hair. The princess is very much fond of her. Probably, obviously, as a potential sensual conquest, but the way that she dotes over her is very adorable. Rubbing her now white hair, but he had defended her then. She said, "He's got to be another moment, you remember?" And she's like, "Well, we were out in the rain, and we were going to take a bath, and he thought I was a boy, and he forced me to disrobes, and pantsuit means panties, so he pulled down her panties, and it was a big to do, and she's all blushing and stuff, and Ariel's like, thank you for sharing, and it's pretty funny. um but they come up playing. They were discussing this, it looks like all day, and we get another funny moment it's funny moments from Sylphie. It's amazing because I need to see if I can find this in my phone notes. Instantly found it. So the princess says, "What type of relationship do you want with him?" And she thinks she's like, "One where we share a bed, where Rudy will be crude and say, how many true." She does, and she imitates the VA imitating male voice, getting deeper, but also sounding how Rudy would talk, like, "Would you like to have children?" And she goes, "I would say something just as crude as how many do you want to put in me?" She's a freak. And I'm laughing. I'm legitimately nearly on the floor laughing watching this. And she says he'll chuckle. He'll chuckle and say lots, and they'll hug and disrobe, and it's so funny because at the end of all this, Sylphiette is hug humping a globe in reenact because she's doing all the twists and turns, and it's legitimately probably the funniest she's been. And you can tell they are perfect for each other. I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's going to be a Tenchi Muyo situation. And if you youngins don't know Tenchi Muyo, you should definitely watch Tenchi Muyo. The originals. Watch the originals, and then Tenchi in Tokyo, and then you can watch the other stuff that doesn't feature Tenchi a lot. But yes, Tenchi Muyo, that's all I'm going to say. Because, again, this intro is funny. You have the bluebird that leads him to the school. You have the redbird. The redbird's there. Redbird's never left you, Rudy. And then you have that green bird that takes him by the hand. So, and this green bird here, she's a perfect fit for this man. And so Ariel lays down the law, tells her, "Look, either you tell him who you are, don't chicken out. No. Faltering and chickening out is not tolerated. So as the princess of Ashura, I'm telling you, you have to tell him, because if you don't, you're forbid from ever having contact with him again." And initially, I thought that that's where that was gonna head, where she's just saying either you tell him or you can't deal with him because you're putting me in danger. It's I'm trying to help my friend give her the kick in the ass that she needs, and the plan works. Like, she gets it to rain. She has a ring where she says a red tower, which I guess brought tower red, which brings in the spell. And Rudy has the magic to get the spell to dispel rain while it's in the snowy region. And since she has his staff, she does the magic to make it continue to rain. Now, how do we get to this point where, well, The plan is to make him think that the princess got in over her head, and Fitz has to prove herself that she's better than this other person's guard and can get this flower, right? And she says she can do it in half the group. So they said four, so she has to do it in two. And of course, Rudy's being so stupid, going, "Oh, I can find you some people." No, 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 don't want to do that. Well, you know what? My friends at what's it called? Stepped Leader, right? He's saying that his friends at Step Leader could coincidentally be there and help them get it. And she's like, "No, I want to have pride. You should be more than enough." And he goes, "All right, cool." And it's so funny because he's basically declared his love for her when she says, "I got a favor to ask. Call him, get him at lunch. You know, Zenoba's going to take care of Juliet's training and everything else." But he's like, "Whatever it is, I would do it to the best of my ability, like a fiery red dragon." She's like, "I haven't even asked you yet." And he's like, For you, anything." So it's obvious, very, very obvious. And the plan works essentially. Rudy takes off his clothes, tries to dry it with magic, and he's like, "Oh, well, I know she's a girl, so I can't really do that." And he's saying, "You should probably disrobe." And a friend once told me that with elves, can't really touch their skin. They shouldn't show themselves naked. So I'm gonna turn around, close my eyes, and let you do your thing. And after a while, he doesn't hear anything. He looks and sees that she's still wet. He's like, "You can catch a chill. You could die from this because we're in a cold region. You're wet. Yeah, take them clothes off." She's like, "I can't do it." Essentially forcing him to do it, making him go through almost exactly what they did when they were younger. And even in his mind, first of all, I love the fact that this goes from a different point of view. All the way up until this point, it was another point of view and then Rudy's, save for the beginning before the intro. I enjoyed that a lot. And he does. He just robes her, pulls some stuff off. He's like, "This feels so familiar, like something I did when I was 4 or 5." And he's like, "She's blushing on her ears. This is so familiar." And her glasses slide. So we see her red eyes, and she's like, "You missed one spot. It's the glass." And she takes the glass off. He goes, "Excuse me. You wouldn't happen to be Sylphiette, would you?" Jumps in his arms. She's crying. She's like, "I'm Sylphie from Borealis Village." Rudy. And as much as I'm not making this sound like a heartfelt moment, when she started tearing up, I was already tearing up. Made me cry. She was crying. He's like, "Oh, she's still a crybaby." And straight up tells him, "I've worked really hard since you left. I love you, Root. I love you, Rudeus. And I love you even more now. Please don't ever leave me again." That's right, right there just right there in the heart compartment. Just such a the payoff. The payoff for this is tremendous, and I cannot give it them more. I want to give them all the kudos for all of my griping over the last 2 or 3 episodes. Fantastic. Amazing. Granted, I do think they're both stupid because I think he's dumb for not going, an elf. Now, you might have forgotten her voice, maybe, because there's been people who I haven't seen in years, and then I see their face, and I'm like, "Oh, snap, it's so and so." But then there's also people where you look at me like, "Man, you look familiar," and you don't know their names. So I'm holding suspension of disbelief in here, suspending my disbelief, right? But this was done so beautifully and so well. I can't be mad. There's not any nitpick that holds up to this. This was a fantastic payoff. I do think so. When she took his staff, she was mentioning that she had a wand that she had been given a long time ago. Asked him where he got the staff. He got his magic staff from Air. So he says, a noble woman had got it for me. And she's like, "Man, the wood is so thick." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm assuming that it was made for me to grow up. Like it was made to be there as he got older." Because she said, "You're supposed to use 2 hands with this, right?" Because we see him doing one-handed stuff and sometimes two-handed stuff. So, there you go. Very touching, very beautiful. There's the highlights. The highlights is just all the Sylphie parts. Literally, it's the Sylphie parts. Nothing, no shade on this ending because this ending is the ultimate climax. But her funny what if reenactment of how crude the both of them would be, all of that was done so well. What is the next episode going to be called? I believe next episode is called I Want to Tell You. It's probably going to be I want to tell you everything that's going on. This is episode 11, season 2. I'm going to assume that episode 12, we're going to take a break. Maybe episode 14, we're going to take a break. Technically, episode 11 is the 12th episode because we had episode 0. So, I don't know how long this is going to go, but it's nice. It's very nice. After all of the heartbreaking things that Rudeus has been through, he deserved this bit of respite. I don't know what else I can say on this, but Rudy's a good boy. You're a good boy, Rudy. So it's just imagine if Eris had still been around, or if who else, or if Sarah had came along with him. How interesting this would be. There has to be a what if somewhere out there in the cosmos. I would hope the creator would do something with that, maybe do some what ifs. But there's a lot in this world that needs to be explored too. Because remember, we still got different races of beings, and we're focused on this one dude who's come back, who does seem to be a big major figure in this world. We're like watching a future important magical being through his journey. I enjoy that. But back to this episode, 5 out of 5. The payoff. The payoff is what made this 100% by far amazing. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, please. Were you into this like I was into this? Because I love the simple reviews where I don't have to run down I don't have to run down play by play, because guess what? You should watch this. You should watch this if you haven't. Probably watch it twice. I had to rewind the funny parts because the funny parts were still funny after rewatching it and just laid me out. But the touching parts, they're the best. Please leave a comment below. Don't forget to wash those hands. Have you some water. Subscribe as well if you haven't subscribed, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified of more reviews like this. And they're definitely coming. So thank you once again. Be good, be blessed, stay safe, be good to yourself, be good to others. Either way it goes, don't be a jerk, all right? And remember, there are people out there that care about you. So reach out to somebody, realize that people would rather talk to you today than to mourn you and miss you tomorrow. I promise you there's somebody like that. As a matter of fact, you want to talk to someone, my social medias are in the description right below. Give me a follow, send me a message. Don't be a jerk about it. We could be good friends. I talk about almost anything, so we could talk about how much I love this pink shirt here. I wore the pink for the love, all of the love. But until next time, y'all, I'm Shane. Can't wait to see what's going to happen next week. They're probably going to try to make us cry again. I'll see ya.